Perfect, and thanks very much for having me. It's really a pleasure to be here tonight to speak to you all. I'm just going to share my screen, which hopefully will work. 1 second. Can everyone see that? No?
Yeah.
Perfect. Yeah. Doesn't always work first time. Perfect. So I'm going to talk to you a bit about what communities are doing across the country in terms of climate action. So firstly, I think the good news is that communities across the country are already making progress in collectively addressing the climate crisis, and they're doing it in a whole range of areas, as you can see on your screen. They're doing it in community-owned wind or solar, and this is from small-scale projects on solar rooftop projects to large commercial-scale wind farms. They're doing it as part of community-supported agriculture, where communities have come together, have set up partnerships, and they either own or direct and or manage local farms. They're running community allotments and gardens, where they're creating community growing spaces and taking over abandoned land plots to collectively grow food. Things called community land trusts, who manage land trusts are effectively set up by local people, and they either buy or are gifted land, and they use this land to create affordable and energy efficient housing. Communities are doing things like creating community-led safe streets and travel initiatives. So things like electric car clubs, installing community electric vehicle charging points, and organising cycling and walking initiatives as well. Just three more to mention: circular economy initiatives, so things like swap shops and libraries of things, so reuse, or local recycling enterprises and repair cafes where communities are coming together.
Can I ask you, sorry, Luke, to just explain what you mean by circular economy?
Sure. Circular economy is essentially where we are reusing or repackaging goods for reuse. So it might be, for example, rather than throwing out your mobile phone, you taking it to a local community repair shop, having it fixed, and then someone else is able to use that phone. So it's really just ensuring that things that we use and goods that we buy aren't just thrown away. The materials for them, or the actual products themselves, are reused for others to utilize. Finally, I'll just say rewilding and community-owned woodland. So there's examples of communities leasing woodland, managing reforesting or rewilding local woodland under that community collective ownership. So there's lots of examples of community climate action happening across the country. I'm just going to pick out one example actually, I think, given time, which is, and this I think this relates a lot to what Lorraine was just saying about why people get involved in climate action. So there's an organisation called Ambition Lawrence Weston, and this is a community-led organisation, and in their own words, they've been doing a lot on climate, but only by accident. So they've been undertaking a range of energy efficiency and energy generation measures. So for this community, the reason why they've got into this is their priority was the need to alleviate poverty, reduce fuel bills, and tackle fuel poverty in particular. And this is an area where 70% of residents say that they struggle to pay heating and electricity bills. Ambition Lawrence Weston worked with their partners Bristol Energy Network, and they delivered a project which employs thermal imaging to spot weaknesses in the energy efficiency of homes. And having done that, I worked with local traders to then fix the drafty windows, insulate the lofts, and charging a fee only to those who can afford it. As a result of this community initiative, a number of fuel poor households have been able to improve the energy efficiency of their homes and reduce their energy costs. They're now working to become an energy generating community. So going much further, and they've now got plans to build an onshore wind turbine to expand the community energy production. So just to tell you a little bit about the kind of benefits that that's going to deliver, the turbine which they're planning to build, which will be owned by the community, will generate enough electricity to power nearly 4,000 homes, and it will bring in an income as well, generating an income of between £50,000 and £400,000 a year, depending on the level of borrowing costs. And finally, they'll be making some serious CO2 savings, reducing greenhouse gas emissions as a result of the project as well. But I just wanted to say a little bit about what the benefits are of community climate action, having mentioned the kind of range of things that different communities are doing. And this really builds on the kind of things that Lorraine was just saying just now. First of all, in our experience and the research that we've done, the evidence suggests that action by community schemes and groups can actually help create a consensus amongst the wider community for action to reduce emissions and also restore nature. So that's the first thing. That's the first big benefit. Second of all, it helps create engagement and understanding around the new technologies and understanding about what needs to be done as knowledge spreads about positive actions and what can be done. Thirdly, agency. I don't know about others, but I certainly spend a lot of time worrying what I can do to tackle the climate crisis, and sometimes it can be overwhelming. A lot of these groups provide that route for people to actually take action themselves beyond their kind of individual action that they can take. And finally, we would certainly argue effectiveness. Communities often know what needs to be done. So you are all experts in your own lives. You all know more about your community than anyone else, and who better to respond to local challenges than yourselves and the local community, and can often that kind of local knowledge and local experience can help deliver more effective outcomes when working in partnership with local government and others. A little bit around key issues. I just wanted to say what are the key things that might make, in our experience and the research that we've done, that might make community groups attempting to tackle these issues a success. First of all, is a strong vision for action. And this really builds on what Lorraine was saying. And again, why organisations like Ambition Lawrence Weston, which I talked about a moment ago, got into this. Actually, the most successful ones don't just focus on addressing the climate crisis alone. They're focusing on the jobs that can be created, the energy bills that can be lowered, the fuel poverty that can be addressed, or the cleaner air that can be delivered as a result of the community project. Second is inclusion and diversity. The community groups that are most successful tend to be those that are more effective in efforts to incorporate people from all backgrounds. Thirdly is volunteer engagement. Many of these community groups do rely on volunteer engagement and volunteer support and volunteer time. And the most effective ones are the ones that make it easy for volunteers to get involved, whether that be from 1 hour a week or more time if those that want to participate have it. External professional support. Quite often, many of the organisations we've worked with and that we've done research on,
Sorry, 2 minutes left, just to let you know.
Thanks. Such as Ambition Lawrence Weston, have had external professional support. Many groups do need that kind of support to guide them through maybe the planning process or how to interact with the energy system. That external professional support can be really key. Funding support. Funding is not the only thing, but it is often critical to success. And lastly, the importance of relationships and networks. The most effective ones are founded on the recognition that you need to bring together the relationships between people and different organisations in a local community with different skills that can complement each other and help the community group to succeed. Just a few ideas about what that we've recommended that might help enable more community groups to form across the country to tackle the climate crisis. Some ideas at national level. So we've argued that the national government should devolve more power and money to local councils who can then better support communities who want to set up these kind of groups. The idea of a community right to own and manage, and that's nothing more than giving communities a greater right to be able to bid on land in their local area through their local council, or the idea of a community wealth fund funding provided by national government to local communities to spend it with the freedom decided by that local community. So without strings attached, it's left up to the community to decide. And then at the local level, more information and advice provided by local councils on what support is out there, what information there is, providing space for groups to meet, but also potentially land as well, provided at low cost or loaned to communities to develop these projects, supporting by providing funding, or finally by supporting by providing professional support. So those are just some of the ideas for potentially enabling more community action across the country as well. Thanks very much.